Welcome back, America. Senator Martha McSally is one of my favorite guests. She is, of course, a colonel retired from the United States Air Force. She deployed 6 times to the Middle East and Afghanistan. She flew 325 combat hours in the A-10 Warthog. She's got a brand new book out, Dare to Fly, which is a real kick in the butt. Really, you feel so small after you're done reading about her misery database. And I got to say, Senator McSally, I thought it was so appropriate to read Dare to Fly, your new book, thinking about command climate. There's a lot to talk to you about Dare to Fly, but command
Yeah.
climate in these police departments that have failed across the United States and where they've succeeded, the
Yep.
command climate that you discuss in here, it's relevant wherever there are men and women under orders of a superior officer, isn't it?
Yeah, Hugh, thank you for having me on. I hope everybody's safe out there. Look, I can't even begin to understand the racism and the challenges that African American men and women deal with in America. I don't even want to begin to try and I mean, I do want to obviously try to understand, but I just want to be clear. We can't fully relate to that. And everybody should watch the video of George Floyd's life being snuffed out so callously by that officer. And the little nugget I have to offer is what you just shared. Is I just don't understand how in broad daylight someone who is sworn to serve and protect could just sit there with his knee on that man's neck and his hand in his pocket and just callously allow his life to be snuffed out. How do we get to that place? And it's a leadership issue. It's a cultural issue. I just there's history of complaints against this man, and often you see that when you have perpetrators. The vast majority of men and women in uniform, both in the police and the military, are good and honorable people. But when you have some bad actors, usually people look the other way as they see a pattern of behavior, and it has to stop. And it's leadership, it's culture, it's nobody being bystanders. I do share all that in other contexts, but there's so many factors here as a country that we need to not look away. We need to
That
look.
I want to drive home. What I'm talking about, when I read Dare to Fly to prepare for the
Yeah,
interview, there are on 2 occasions, at least actually more than that, where the command culture of where then Major McSally was sent was so poisoned against women pilots. It's
yeah.
so abusive, so absolutely full of harassment, jealousy, envy, and threat
Mhm.
that she had to address it directly. And good
Mhm.
on the colonels for doing so. But I think about that in the
Yeah.
context of the Minneapolis
Yeah.
Police Department. I
Yep.
think that chief should have resigned the day after because it's a failure on his shoulders.
Where's the leadership? How did they get to that place? I mean, I have so many questions about what was going on in that police department and how you get to a place where not just what the one officer did, but the rest of them enabling and standing around. And there's so many things that need to be looked at here related to the leadership. And I appreciate you sharing that connection as I share in my own journey. Again, I don't want to equate it to what any the George Floyd's family and others, but as you look at like the root issues, the cancerous issues of a organization that has these perpetrators in this culture, like what the hell is going on
That's right.
there,
It's
and
a it's
who
a
is
law,
going to be
and
held accountable?
I
Yeah,
had a detective call in earlier, Senator McSally from Oakland. He's a regular caller. He said right away, everybody who sees that in the law enforcement community knows that is outrageous
yes,
criminal behavior. Everybody
yes,
knows, but somehow it's being embedded. It's sort of like in your commands. Again, not
yeah,
equating, but
yeah,
you've got to call it out. And you went up and barked at
yeah.
that colonel at the weapons school, and he apologized, but he didn't really change anything.
No, yeah, and I share my own journey with my own challenges and the honor of my life to command men and women in combat in Dare to Fly, and my hope and prayer is that people who read it would be encouraged to stand up against things that they see are wrong. I talk about don't walk by a problem. They would be encouraged to not be a bystander, that they would also be encouraged to overcome fear in their own lives and obstacles and tragedies. And I mean, I share my unique stories. Many of your listeners are maybe not going to jump into the cockpit of A-10, but I'll bring you there with me and share how I was able to overcome my own fear and stand up against wrongdoing and other things so you can find your own courage in your own journey. And I want to be the wingman of the reader, which is why I put it out there. I want to just use the unique experiences I had to encourage people in their own lives to find their strength, push past obstacles, don't walk by a problem, find their courage and resilience. And my hope is that the reader will really be, encouraged and inspired in their own lives. And they can go to daretofly.us, and I'd encourage people to share your story with me as well. We set up that website specifically so you could contact me. I won't share it with others. I might strip your name off and just share the dynamics, because I think we could all use some hope and encouragement today. For sure.
Absolutely. Daretofly.us. Everyone is going to be sort of like the 12-year-old that Colonel McSally helped get up Mount Kilimanjaro. And if you want to know what that means, you've got to read Dare to Fly. Senator, thank you for joining me. I would not want to be in any competition with you ever.
Thank you. God bless you all. Didn't happen overnight, man. I went from a pudgy, motion sick kid to flying fighter. So
it's a pretty remarkable story. Dare to Fly is in bookstores everywhere. Thank you, Senator McSally.